Home of the entertainment industry, fantastic Mexican food, and some truly terrible traffic. Los Angeles. On this episode of Fast Travel, we'll show you why it's also the perfect place for nerds and gamers. I'm Brian Altano, this is Jacki Jing, and we are on the Warner Brothers studio tour. Where do you want to go first?
Oh shoot, we have to say movie lover's dream. I should have said that. Shit, my bad. This is a movie lover's dream.
Where do you want to go first?
To the Batcave.
To the Batcave.
Let's go.
That was faster than I thought it would be. From Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter, Warner Brothers is responsible for some of the most iconic movie franchises. My personal favorite is Batman. What is your favorite Batman movie? Not what is the best Batman movie.
Okay.
What's your favorite?
I'm gonna have to say Batman Returns. I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
She's fantastic.
I mean, she, to me, is exactly how Selena Kyle would look visually. Hear me roar. And I just love Tim Burton. I mean, I'm a fan of so many of his movies. So Batman 1989, Batman Returns, it's a tough call. Both of those are my favorites, but mainly because of Michelle Pfeiffer.
I'm on the same page as you. Like, Danny DeVito as a penguin in that movie
Loved him,
he's sinister and nightmarish, but also kind of goofy and weirdly endearing. And then you've got Christopher Walken, and
weirdly
Selena
endearing
Kyle
until he
bites that
someone's
guy's
nose off.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's running for politics in Gotham. It's cutthroat, or
cut nose.
It's difficult. Yeah, it's got teeth in the front too, or at least these like weird angular things, and windshield wipers, which is important. A lot of Batmobiles do not include that feature. It rains a lot in Gotham. It's important to maintain safe driving. But the Batmobile in Batman Returns is so iconic because it feels both like modern and retro at the same time. And it's got the sides that bust off and turns into a missile, so we can go into those tight alleys in Gotham, which there's tons of. So I think it's my favorite Batmobile.
It's funny being here, I actually think my favorite was the one from Batman and Robin.
Right.
And I find myself kind of drawn to that one the most because it reminds me of the comic books.
I think that film has like actually fantastic art direction in terms of props and designs and stuff like that. You want to pick them up and throw them around, which we shouldn't do because they're expensive and they're rare and they're behind glass.
I do kind of want to steal one of the motorcycles. Do you think we could work that out?
I don't know if it's better to admit a crime before you do a crime than it is to just do the crime.
Okay, I see the Warner Brothers people, so that's quite.
I'm more worried about Batman. Button Mash is adored by LA locals, and for good reason. It's got an excellent selection of arcade games, a funky design aesthetic, and some of the best food I've ever had at an arcade bar. When you travel, eat whatever you want. That's the rule. That's the law.
Eat, people, eat.
So we are at Button Mash in LA, one of the coolest arcade bars probably I've ever seen in all of my travels.
Yeah.
And I think what really makes this place special is not just the games, but also the ice machine, which is the loudest. What's like the role that food has played in your life in growing up?
I'm half Chinese, and then my dad is like this 6'5" Scottish Russian dude, you know?
Oh my God.
And he loves cooking. So he was like, okay, the family is doing everything together. Like, we're prepping an hour before, table needs to be set by this person. It was almost like a military drill. He would just was doling out responsibilities.
Oh my God.
But it was kind of cool. And then my mom's side, she made a ton of traditional Chinese food, and it was super healthy and just awesome. And she could cook in no time. My dad, it was a big production. My mom, it was just okay, we got steamed salmon and bok choy, you know? So for me, when I think of food, I just think of family.
Every last life. Oh wow, they're shooting missiles at you.
You power. There we go.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I threw that guy at you. The most legit. April O'Neil, baby.
So wait, you were a news reporter.
I used to be April O'Neil.
Yeah, you were a real news reporter.
I was a reporter.
Was she your inspiration growing up?
100%.
This was my inspiration growing up, as a man sitting on the street eating pizza by himself. That's my body goals. I can already read the comments on our footage for this.
I know, they're going to be wow.
First time playing Tetris.
Yeah.
That is some abstract art. I love it.
Oh. What do we get? We got
the double fried tangy chicken wings with these awesome little watermelon slices I want to dig into.
And then we have crispy tofu balls that look sort of like they're made of green Rice Krispie treats, and there's this orange dipping sauce. I don't want to. Oh my God.
Don't put on camera. That was so good.
Oh my God.
I think you're
Turn the camera off. I'm out. I'm like,
This is a
we're
wrap.
gonna cut that, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna cut that. Please.
The Last Bookstore is a staple of downtown. It's not just a place where you can browse or buy a massive collection of books, but the store itself feels practically built out of books.
What's one of like the first books you ever remember reading that like the story really stuck with you?
I absolutely love The Little Prince.
Right.
And the more and more I think about it, it is kind of like a video game of
Oh, it's
him
totally a video
finding
game.
himself.
I've always been into the Odyssey because I feel like it was
Yeah.
one of the first books I read that I don't think I should have read. Like
Yeah.
my dad handed it to me and he was like, read this, and I got like a third of the way in and I'm like,
It's a
you
little
sure
heavy.
this is like an HBO show?
It is.
Like it was Game of Thrones before I read Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
and it's weird because it never really got made into like a big movie or a big TV show,
Yeah.
although it deserves it, because it's like part Thor, part Zelda, a little bit of Wind Waker, and then lots of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And it's just all mashed together. It's fantasy and it's scary and people die and get killed. And you just imagine the whole thing in your head. And I think when you're a kid reading a book, there's something really exciting about that.
Like just like touching the books and getting a feel for them and just this interactive experience. Like we need that in our lives more.
I agree.
We are so caught up with needing visuals and needing like something to like entertain us. But when you have a book, you have to use your own imagination. Oh yeah, get off your phone. Come on. Oh, whoops, we gotta use our quiet voices for in that.
Jacki's a busy girl, so we had to say goodbye, but we're saying hello to Trisha Hershberger at World 8, a retro video game shop with awesome toys and collectibles and a local FGC hotspot.
Do you have swords in your home?
I have like a no sword policy,
Oh.
but you have a lot. You have weapons. and
I
stuff.
have the Sword of Gryffindor and I have Strider's sword from Lord of the Rings. Those are the only two that are there. And I have the Black Arrow from The Hobbit, but that's not really a sword so much as a very large ranged weapon
Yes.
in my home.
One thing I really appreciate about you is that you have your nerdery. It's there, but it's kind of tucked to the side a little bit. I mean, you got a Triforce front and center, which is
yeah, a
pretty on
little
the
on
nose.
DL. Well, but most people look at this and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
what a nice triangle necklace you're wearing. You know, it's like if you're in the know, you're in the know, but if you're not, it's just a piece of jewelry.
How do you balance being a nerdy adult in your home? Like, how do you kind of tuck stuff away? Do you put it front and center on the wall? Do you frame stuff? Is it just like you walk in and you're like, oh, Trisha's a huge nerd?
Well, yes and no. I like to walk that fine line again. If you know, you know. I have like a Deathly Hallows mirror that's right in my entryway that could just be a really funky shaped mirror, or you could be like, hey, I know what that is. Or there's cool places like World 8 here in Los Angeles that actually sell original artwork.
Right.
So you can get freshly painted nerdery for your house.
So the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color are some of the best handhelds ever made. But you can play Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening
Yeah.
and also NSYNC Get to the Show.
And that's right up there with like Disney Cheetah Girls. Could be fun. Don't knock it till you've tried it. You haven't played it, right?
That's true. Do you ever want to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Sure.
How about the second edition?
Who wants to be a bajillionaire?
I got M&M's Minis Madness, which is specifically based on the smaller version of M&M's. They got their own video game.
Oh my gosh, Kim Possible 3, which means they made 2 Kim Possible games before that.
How about Shrek, the Fairy Tale Freakdown?
Here's Mary-Kate and Ashley's Sweet 16.
Rainbow Six, this was voted the 7th best place to play this game.
How much is that going for?
$1.99.
Mary-Kate and Ashley's Sweet 16 is $7.99, so that's still in demand.
A good thing about these games is that they have a year on them, so you know, kind of like a fine wine.
NBA Jam 2001.
Yeah, that was a great year for NBA Jam. So you have this thing where people, when they get it, it's like this Fight Club moment.
Yeah.
You know, where you're like, oh, you in on that too? I was at IKEA the other day and I saw a guy who had this, like, he had the first level of Super Mario Brothers tattooed around his arm. and it was like very subtle. It wasn't even 8-bit, it was just line work. And I looked over and I was like, hey man, I respect that. And he goes, thanks, boss. And we just had this like little moment. My wife was like, what was that all about?
I have Sonic the Hedgehog socks on right now.
Right now?
Under my boots, I sure
But
do.
you're wearing very tall boots.
I am wearing very tall
But
boots.
you know they're there.
It's for me.
Yeah,
It's for me.
I love that. I respect the hell out of it.
Neon Retro Arcade is a straight-up classic arcade like the ones I remember as a kid. But since you only have to pay once per day to play the games as much as you want, you'll never have to beg your parents for tokens.
So Ninja Turtles or Simpsons? I feel like that's a go-to question.
That's so hard. I have to go with Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Because you can pick a pizza in that game
I like that.
and regain my health.
I like that. And Bebop and Rocksteady are in it.
What about you? What's your favorite arcade game?
Maybe Darkstalkers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one. But like super, super, super old school. Nibbler.
Nibbler.
It was called Nibbles
Yeah.
in some.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're just the snake and you can't run into your own tail, but you got to get stuff along the way and you keep getting longer.
We've all been there. Did you grow up going to arcades? Do you still like popping into them?
I went to arcades that were in the mall.
Yeah.
I would get in some good time with Ninja Turtles or with Nibbler or whatever it may be, but also like rubbing elbows with the dude.
Oh, to meet guys?
Yeah, spoiler alert, didn't work. And being like, hey, how you doing? And them being laser focused and like, yeah, shh.
And I was basically elbowing my friends, not like to hook up with them, but so I could get to pick Raphael or Donatello first in the Ninja Turtles game.
Who's your pick in Ninja Turtles?
I'm gonna have to go with Donatello because he's got more of a long range weapon. It kind of sucked because Raphael was my favorite turtle.
You would like the emo turtle, huh?
How'd you know?
Bebop, that gross face. Knock it off, big guy. Spirits in the house south. Turtle power.
Oh my God.
You grew up going to arcades,
All
yes?
the time.
Where?
Yeah. In New Jersey, actually, which sounds like a terrifying place. It's sort of, think of like the part in T2 when they go to the arcades.
Yes.
It was a lot like that.
Cool.
You could bring in your report card, and if you got A's, for every A, they gave you $10 worth of quarters.
That's amazing.
It is amazing if you get A's, and I didn't.
What, and that didn't inspire you
Well,
to get A's?
No, it inspired me to use a number 2 pencil to turn the F's into A's.
And here you are.
It all paid off. I'm
Now
back in
you
the
have a
arcade
career
again.
at the arcade.
And no one can ever give me an F again, except for anyone reviewing this episode.
And that's it for Los Angeles. Where should we fast travel to next? List your favorite nerdy city in the comments and keep an eye out for it on the show. Until next time. Oh hey, thanks for watching our new show. Want to win some games and a shaving toolkit courtesy of Braun? Well, enter at the link below for a chance to win. We wanted to take a moment to thank Braun for helping us create Fast Travel because without their support, we literally wouldn't have been able to make it. Seriously, I've been wanting to make this show for years now, so I can't believe we're finally doing it. Enter the sweepstakes, win some games, and stay tuned for our next adventure.